Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like the stock market is this wild animal that everyone pretends to understand, but secretly, no one knows where it'll go next? One day it's up, everyone's happy. Next day it's down, and suddenly your uncle's retirement plan is praying for a miracle. Boy, so how do some people, quietly, steadily, build wealth through the market, without having a heart attack every time there's a dip? I'll tell you how we Jews do it. Not all of us, of course. But there's a certain way of looking at money and markets that's been passed down, generation to generation, quietly, like a family recipe. No drama, no hype. We don't try to beat the market. We watch it, like a wise old Zayde at the chessboard, sipping tea, waiting 3 moves ahead. And today, I'm going to show you how that works. Not with magic, not with stock tips, but with a way of thinking, a way of seeing the market that can help you grow wealth while still sleeping at night. Imagine that. So grab your coffee, and let's schmooze about it. Let's start with something simple. You know the word shalom? Everyone knows it means peace, but it also means wholeness, completion, nothing missing. That's the first Jewish principle we bring to money and markets. You don't chase riches like you're starving. You build them slowly, so they fit into your life like a puzzle piece, whole, not frantic. In the market, that means one thing. You don't watch prices. You watch patterns. Because prices shout. Patterns whisper. Anyone can get excited when a stock goes up 20% in a week, Mazel Tov, and next week, it drops 30%. Oy vey. But someone who watches patterns, they're not looking at this week or next. They're watching the way money flows, like a river, and they fish patiently. Not like a tourist with a selfie stick, like an old man who's been sitting by that river for years, catching exactly what he needs. See, Jews learned long ago, mostly the hard way, that survival depends on patience and pattern recognition. You don't always control what country you live in, or which king wakes up grumpy and decides you're the problem. So you learn to move quietly. You learn to spot signs early. You learn not to panic when others are panicking, and not to cheer too loud when things go well. That's the first step to building wealth. Ignore the noise. Watch the patterns. Let me give you an example. There's a guy named Eli. Nice Jewish guy, 42 years old, lives in Brooklyn, works in software, makes a decent living. But he's not flashy, doesn't trade stocks every week, doesn't have 12 apps with candlesticks and charts. But every month for the past 15 years, Eli has taken a small part of his income and invested it into a low-cost index fund. Nothing sexy, just the whole market. Rain or shine. Up or down. Month after month. Guess what? Eli's portfolio is now worth more than some of his cousins who discovered crypto in 2021. And thought they were Warren Buffett after 2 lattes and a TikTok video. Why? Because Eli watched the market like a Jew watches soup on Shabbat, with quiet attention. Slow cooking, no rushing. He didn't chase riches. He built them, one spoonful at a time. And that brings me to the second idea. In Judaism, we have a principle called Bal Tashchit, do not waste. It's not just about throwing away food. It's about being careful with all your resources. Time, money, energy. That's why when Jews invest, we look not just at returns, but at risk. Because losing money by being careless is a kind of waste. And waste is a sin. A quiet one, but a sin nonetheless. Let me say it this way. It's better to grow slow and steady than to get rich quick and go broke faster than you can say NFT. Now, you might say, but doesn't that mean you miss out on the big wins? Maybe. But here's a secret. Most big wins are illusions unless you know when to cash out. And that's where most people, not just Gentiles, mess it up. They think the market is a slot machine, not a storehouse. A Jewish investor builds a storehouse. Not because we're greedy, because we're practical. We like options. We like knowing our kids will be okay. We like being able to help someone quietly, without needing to show off. So instead of spending energy trying to time the perfect trade, we set up systems. Automated. Simple. Reliable. Like this. A fixed monthly contribution. Rebalanced once a year. Reviewed with a cool head, not after 3 glasses of wine. Doesn't sound exciting? Good. Wealth isn't supposed to be exciting. Your life is supposed to be exciting. Your investments? Boring as matzo on a Tuesday. In the Talmud, there's a beautiful line. A man should always divide his money into 3 parts. 1 for land, 1 for business, and 1 kept in hand. Now, this was written long before Wall Street or ETFs. But the wisdom still applies. It's about diversification. Not just for safety, but for sanity. Think of it like this. You wouldn't eat only one food every day, even if it was delicious. Why? Because over time your body gets sick of it. Same with money, same with risk. So we spread it out. A bit in stocks, a bit in real estate, a bit in cash or short-term bonds. Some folks even add a little gold, like their great-grandfather in Minsk who kept 2 coins hidden in the kitchen wall, just in case. This isn't fear, it's prudence. Because here's the real trick of Jewish investing. We don't try to predict the future, we prepare for it. Let me repeat that, because it's important. We don't try to predict the future, we prepare for it. Big difference. Predictions are loud and exciting and almost always wrong. Preparation is quiet, methodical, and usually right. You want to build wealth without effort? Don't bet. Don't guess. Prepare. Set up your little buckets of safety, growth, and flexibility, and keep filling them, rain or shine. Now, let's talk about psychology for a second. One thing Jews have learned, after a few thousand years of ups and downs, is how to stay calm during storms. Markets go down. It happens. Recessions happen. Crashes. Panics. Inflation. People yelling on TV. And what do? We breathe. Maybe we make tea. Maybe we take a walk. Maybe we call someone we trust and say, "Nu, should I panic or just worry quietly?" But we don't sell everything in a frenzy. We don't let fear make the decisions. Because here's a truth most people miss. The market doesn't test your intelligence. It tests your character. Anyone can read charts. But can you hold steady when things go down 20%? Can you stay invested when your neighbor is selling? Can you resist the urge to brag when things are up and to despair when they're down? That's where Jewish wisdom shines. Because we've had to be steady in much worse situations than a bear market. That steadiness, that inner calm, that's how wealth is built over time. Not by genius, by grit. And by one more thing, a thing we don't talk about much, but it might be the most important of all. The 5th piece of the puzzle is purpose. Why do you want wealth? No, really. Ask yourself. Because Jewish tradition doesn't see money as an end. It's a tool. A blessing, yes, but also a responsibility. Money can be used to build, to help, to create, or to waste, to boast, to hide from your fears. So the Jew who watches the market to build wealth, he's not just doing it for himself. He's doing it so his children can study, so his community can grow, so he can donate quietly, like the old man in the synagogue who never says a word, but somehow pays for half the building repairs. When your wealth has purpose, you treat it with care. You don't chase the next big thing. You don't panic. You don't show off. You build with humility. And humility, my friend, is the secret ingredient no one talks about on CNBC. But it's there, in every portfolio that lasts, in every business that thrives, in every person who quietly builds a life of dignity. So let me wrap this up like a good challah. Braided, soft, and warm. Here's what we learned today. Watch patterns, not prices. Respect risk, don't waste. Diversify like a wise farmer. Prepare instead of predicting. And build with purpose, not ego. That's the Jewish way of watching the market. And it works, not instantly, but over time, quietly, faithfully, like a candle burning through the night. So don't worry about beating the market. Let it do its thing. You just build your little corner of stability and smile while everyone else runs around chasing smoke. Leave the drama to the news. You've got a plan. I want to hear from you. What part of this hit home? Drop it in the comments. I read everyone like my bubby used to read recipe notes. Carefully and with love. Hit the like button. Not because I asked, but because you smiled or learned something new. And make sure to subscribe. Not for me, but for you. Because the next video, it's going to open your eyes even wider. We're just getting started, my friend. Get ready. Because the next lesson, it's going to change how you see money forever. Shalom and see you soon.